Mountains have always been a nightmare for empire builders. The Akkadians, the Babylonians, even the Assyrians, none of them could hold territory in the rough highlands for very long. But the Hittite Empire, now they were born up in the mountains. Anatolia was their home, and they built the first great mountain empire. So how did they hold it together? Well, the truth is that they kind of didn't. The Hittite Empire collapsed repeatedly, 4 times, depending on how you count. It could have been, some people would say a bit less, some a little bit more, but each time the kingdom was shattered by rebellion or invasion, reduced to almost nothing. In one case, the Hittite king was just with his army out in the field, and the entire empire left. And each time the Hittite king had to claw his way back, launching brilliant reconquests to rebuild the entire empire from scratch. It was never stable, never secure. Rebellion was a constant fact of life. And so the Hittites did sort of adapt. Unlike the Assyrians or the Egyptians, who ruled sort of a territorial, what we'd almost consider modern state in many ways, the Hittites ran a much looser ship. They didn't impose their rule nearly as harshly. Instead of full control, they ruled through a web of vassals, kings and local rulers who swore loyalty but mostly governed themselves. This kept costs low and let the Hittites project power far beyond what we could say was their actual strength. And that flexibility did a lot to keep them going until it didn't. And when the end came, it came hard. The great cities burned, the royal line fell, and most critically, there was no longer a brilliant king in that age ready to reconquer everything. And because their rule had been so loose, the empire didn't leave much behind. Unlike, of course, the Babylonians, who wrote their names and their laws in stone, or the Egyptians with their massive temples, the Hittites faded into obscurity. Later civilizations barely remembered them at all. For centuries, they were deeply confused about who the Hittites had been, thinking them to have been like some sort of Syrian trading cities, and then, of course, they were completely forgotten. But you don't have to forget about the Hittites and ancient history if you check out the Oldest Stories podcast.